Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
We start out today's show with an important question. Not a question as to why it takes a $100 bill to buy 2 bags of groceries, nor a question as to why it takes so much more money to fill up our car at the pump. Nope, not a question, as we don't get to haggle anymore over the price of a new or used car and instead are forced to pay sticker. But rather, the question for the day is this one. Why is service we expect from those we invest our money with not keeping up with the amount of money they are making on our money? As someone who is in the service business, I can attest to the fact that ever since the pandemic washed upon our shores back in 2019, the level of service from many of the vendors and institutions we use at Tony Walker Financial have all but, shall we say, lost the personal touch of service we once expected. Articles and polls will back this up that say that basically poor service is part of the business now. But never fear, because today I'm going to share with you how we at Tony Walker Financial provide some of that great service to saver clients who have experienced for decades the secret to what we call the personal touch and why we at Tony Walker Financial will continue to provide it long into the future. So let's get started. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement, and yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, personal touch expert, retirement planning specialist, and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we share with you the personal touch services we offer to savers who are retired or looking to retire soon, let me introduce in the Worry-Free Studios this March 26, 2024, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, sir. Good morning, audience.
And you doing okay this morning? See anybody out in public this past week that recognized you? Or?
No, but I do want to take a second and I want to say good morning. Now, this is going to be a little off, so let me explain. I want to say good morning to my 5th grade Sunday school class that I teach at our church. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because this past Sunday, Jessica and I, we teach 5th grade at our church that we attend. And we were talking to the kids, and somehow we got to talking about cutting my hair. My hair's getting a little long, and it needs to be. It needs to be cut.
Come on now.
It needs to be cut. Well, all the kids just were, giving me funny ideas, and they were like, "You should do a mohawk. You should do this. You should do that." And I just, off the cuff, told them. I said, "Well, guys, I can't do anything real crazy because I'm on TV, and that would look a little nuts." Well, their jaws all just hit the floor, and they're like, "What do you mean you're on TV?" And I went, "Well, yeah, guys, that's part of my job. I'm on a weekly television show. I'm on a weekly radio show." And they're like, "Oh, we don't believe you. You got to prove it." So I'm going to keep this clip, and I'm going to send it to each one of them.
So what you're saying is 5th graders don't tend to tune into the Worry-Free Retirement. Is that what we just figured out?
I'm afraid not. I don't think retirement's top on their list.
Okay, well, let's set the stage. I mean, the theme, obviously, folks, is the idea of that personal touch. And I'm going to define it this way. Here's the definition, Aaron, and I'll quiz you and see if this has ever happened to you. I think personal touch, now we're talking about service here, folks, is something that goes above and beyond what you expect from someone you give your money to. Whether it's at the grocery store, the car lot, financial issues, whatever. So can you name an instance that you felt like, yes, somebody went above and beyond and really provided a personal touch?
So, as you've mentioned on this show before, a few months ago, last year, I purchased a new truck, not brand new, but a new truck. And it made me kind of laugh in your intro when you were talking about gone are the days of, haggling the price. That's the sticker price. Well, folks, I am here to tell you that is absolutely 100% true. I purchased this vehicle from, a dealership up in Indiana. And, I won't get into the details, but, the sticker price was what it was. And Jessica and I were sitting there looking at it, and I was, I probably put on my best Dick Walker, and I was like, I could probably haggle this a little bit, or whatever.
I'm not your ordinary everyday fool, okay?
And the guy sat down and, not in an aggressive way, but maybe a little more intimidating. I just kind of looked at him. I said, so this is the final price, but there's no wiggle room. And he just looked at me without even blinking. And he was like, yep, that's it. And I was like, oh, okay. But with that said, he said, well, I'll make you a deal. I'll fill up your tank since you drove a little way. Cause he knew we were coming from Louisville. He said, I'll fill up the tank since you drove a little way.
He threw in a little personal.
He threw in a little perk there. I was like, okay.
Well, this is happening in our industry, and I want to start off in the financial world. This happens all the time, and I really do believe the financial world has really lost a sense of why this personal touch is so important. So I'm going to kind of, closing out this segment, let me read to you. This actually happened recently. This was a young lady by the name of Peggy. She's retired, and apparently she had been watching the TV show. Incidentally, folks, if you want to watch the TV show, all the times are listed at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You can also go to our YouTube channel at Tony Walker Financial and watch past episodes of the TV show. But anyway, Peggy said this. She said, Tony, I currently have over $500,000 with a large brokerage firm who, for a fee, provided me at the time with a personal representative located in another state who I could speak with by phone regarding my account at any time. Peggy goes on to say, recently I discovered the advisor I spoke with, and this apparently was going on for years, was no longer with the firm. And here's the frustrating part, Aaron, what she adds here. Nobody from this humongous company that had her money, $500,000 for years, even contacted her to let her know. So she's like, I haven't heard in months from this advisor. So she finally calls the 1-800 number of the big company, goes, nobody knows what she's even talking about. Apparently this went on forever. She finally gets to somebody and goes, oh yeah, we don't really offer that service anymore. And it's like, are you serious? Yeah. So here was her point to me, and this will lead into our discussion today. She ended up moving her money over to us, but here's what she said. Tony, if I go to the trouble of moving all this money over to you guys, how do I know this is not going to happen? Well, folks, today's show is going to be a dandy because we're going to explain to you how we at Tony Walker Financial are able to provide this personal touch service that we feel has really been a lost art, and how we can continue to help more and more savers, now numbering well over 3,000 clients at Tony Walker Financial. How do we pull it off? Good stuff coming your way. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. We will be right back.
Our employee spotlight shines brightly on Miss Caitlin Decker. Good morning, Caitlin.
Good morning.
And when did you start with Tony Walker Financial?
Started in August 2023.
And what was your experience prior to joining our firm?
I was in banking for several years.
And since that time, you've been working under the service department, but explain your role currently in helping our clients.
So I just do client services such as sending in requests for address changes, beneficiary changes, just things of that nature.
And now that you've been here, would you say, when you come to work, what's the most enjoyable thing about working for our organization?
Being able to help those clients with their changes and whatever they need to do on their accounts.
And for our clients to be able to call the service department, all the folks there, including you, it's just a wonderful thing. And we appreciate your hard work so much, Caitlin, and glad you're aboard with Tony Walker Financial.
Thank you, Tony.
You're so welcome.
With the uncertainty of the stock market, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. To talk to me at no cost or obligation, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Worry-Free Retirement. I am America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Ornder, and I've got a TNT here. This comes to us from Jeff in Louisville. Tony, 10 years ago, I moved all my money to Tony Walker Financial except for one account I had with a large brokerage firm since this account had performed well. I recently was notified that I have been assigned, and I quote, a digital advisor. With that said, I want to thank you for the personal touch provided by Tony Walker Financial and look forward to you guys moving this account over to your firm ASAP. Thanks for keeping it real.
Well, that is, and that's a true story. I know some people probably think, oh, come on, Tony, you thought that up on the way to work this morning. Jeff is a great guy. He's been with us for years. And that does happen sometimes, Aaron. Somebody will come in and they'll go, I tell you what, we want to move all our money over except maybe this account. And a lot of times it's an account they manage themselves. They might have an E-Trade account, or in this case, Jeff had a great experience with this one particular account. And I said, that's fine, Jeff, leave it over there. But when he came in, and my favorite nephew, Wes, was in this meeting, he said, he just shook his head and laughed. He goes, a digital advisor. And he was like, I don't even know what that means.
I've seen that now. We've been working on this show for 2-3 days now. And it's like, I still don't know. I picture like the old 80s, like the robot, like, how can I assist you today?
Malfunction. Need input.
So I do appreciate his comments and I do appreciate his feedback. So let's just kind of dive into how does Tony Walker Financial, what is this commitment we have to provide what I feel is not only top-notch service, but the personal touch. We've got 5 things coming up in just a minute, but let me start off with my philosophy. I think this is really important, folks. And again, we're not trying to degrade other advisors or institutions. They can do their business and run it any way they want. That's the great thing about capitalism. But years ago, here's what I decided to do. And I really think this has bode well for our organization. I've been doing this almost 40 years, but years ago when I went out on my own, this was in the late 80s when I started my business, I said, I am always going to provide top-notch service. So over the years, I've been able to do that really with a limited scale of employees. But as we've grown and the growth of the business has taken off, Aaron, I've decided that the only way I can provide that personal touch and meet in person, on average, I meet 30 to 35 people a week, talk to all the people I talk to, all the salaried fiduciaries of meeting people in person, providing that personal touch that seems to be lost, is I have to have more and more staff. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You know what I have noticed since the pandemic, and I do appreciate this fact, everybody's back to work now. I mean, for the most part, if you go to most establishments, there's more people around than there used to be. When the pandemic, remember, you'd walk in a restaurant and maybe 2 people. I mean, the pandemic was supposed to be over, and I guess until all the money ran out, I don't know what happened, but there was nobody around anywhere. So I do think since the pandemic, at least it seems like there's more people back to work than there was prior to that. Although, here's an article. This was just taken on March 15th, 2024. It says, after 4 years, they're talking about since the pandemic was introduced to America, in the U.S., 59% of people feel like, yes, the COVID-19 pandemic is over. Okay, and I would agree with that. Let's hopefully think it's over. But read on down a little bit and look what people are thinking about the results of this pandemic. What's it say, Aaron?
Yeah, Tony. So as you said, it says 59% of Americans believe the pandemic is over. At the same time, it goes on to say about as many, 57%, report that their lives have not returned to normal, and 43% expect they never will.
See, to me, that's really interesting, and I don't really think it's gloom and doom. I just think something happened. I just think that level of service, the expectations have come down, and it's almost like, I hate to say this, it's almost like you're expecting service to not be what it once was. Now, I'm not sure where that changed and why that is, but I don't know. Have you noticed that, or do you think do you agree with this poll, first of all? Do you think that you agree that 57% of people feel like nothing's going to return to normal?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree that the level of service at most places is just, may not necessarily be better or worse. It's just different. Mm-hmm. People are not that conversational anymore. I feel like people are very kind of straight answered, like yes, no. Okay, we'll check on that.
Maybe that's it. They don't really feel like they're enjoying or don't have as much purpose. I'm not sure but it's not that they don't care, but maybe that's it. There's not as much purpose. Their bubble's been burst a little bit as a result of all this pandemic and lockdowns, and people are still a little flustered. So what have we done at Tony Walker Financial to overcome this potential lackadaisical attitude maybe of just not really wanting to go above and beyond? Well, we call it the personal touch of service by Tony Walker Financial. And let me give you 5 things. I could probably come up with many more than this, but these are 5 things I think you could all relate to. And as Aaron and I are talking about, as I read these to you, assuming you've had any experience with any financial institutions in the last several years, banks, insurance companies, brokerage firms, or maybe even just, credit card companies, you have to call these 1-800 numbers, etc. I've had people, mention trying to call government agencies like the Social Security office. Just listen to these 5 things and tell me if this resonates. Number 1, here's what we at Tony Walker Financial make sure we always do. When you call Tony Walker Financial, now this is even after our normal business hours, Monday through Thursday, you are going to receive a live person on the other end of the phone. Is that a pretty big deal nowadays, Aaron? Would you agree?
I would say it is, yeah.
Yeah. And we even have a live answering service. We don't even let it go into voicemail where you have all these prompts. So if you call after business hours, you call our number. Our number is 877. I say this because a lot of you are hearing and watching this show on weekends, but 877-499-9255. When you call that number, if it's after normal business hours, it's going to go to a live operator who will take your message, and on Monday, we will promptly call you back. All right?
No digital advisors here, folks. Wes and Trey are not digital robots. I've golfed with both of those guys. I promise you they're real.
Number 2, the evidence of personal service we provide at Tony Walker Financial. When you do reach someone on the end of the phone at Tony Walker Financial, which you will promptly, we're going to make sure you get to the right staff member with your question. So, Aaron, between myself, 3 fiduciaries, 15 full-time staff at Tony Walker Financial, in addition to all that, that's a lot of people. So a lot of times clients don't know who to ask for. I just say, don't worry about that. When you call our office, ask your question and let us figure out which person or staff member can help you. Does that make sense?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So you call in. If you say, hey, I've got a question about can I take money out of my IRA? Don't ask for the person. You say, the question. I've got an IRA with you guys. I need to take some money out. Who do I need to speak to about a distribution? We're going to find that person and get them on the phone right away. Usually, we handle all requests that same day. Very, very unusual and very, very much personal touch. Number 3, if you're just now joining us, we had this comment from a Peggy that came in who had a service with an out-of-state advisor with a large brokerage firm who all of a sudden, she could never talk to anybody again. She lost the advisor. They didn't reassign her. She's not sure what to do. That's not going to happen at Tony Walker Financial. In fact, if for some reason I'm not available or I'm not available long term, I'm running up and down these interstates all the time, traveling around these offices. Today could be my last day on earth. Well, I've got very much prepared for that. We have 3 full-time salaried fiduciaries, Heather Hughes in our Bowling Green office, Trey Juergens and Wes Walker in our Louisville office, and then Wes Walker pulls sometime over in our Lexington offices, who are well trained in the process. So should I be unavailable for any reason, you've got somebody you can contact right away. Number 4, you're going to get phone calls from us. We're going to initiate those phone calls if we think there's something you need to know about. Maybe there's a change to your investments we're suggesting. Maybe there's some tax ideas and strategies we'd like you to consider. Maybe there's something going on with your plan we would like you to know about. Whatever the case may be we're going to be monitoring your progress, and we will reach out to you if we think there's something you need to be made aware of. I think that's a great personal touch. And again, I just came up with 5. My 5th one that stands out of my mind, we never forget whose money this is. Whether it's myself writing thank you cards to new clients who've decided to do business, I try as best I can to send thank you cards to referrals, to the referors. Aaron, I bet we get 2 or 3 referrals a week from current clients who refer people to us. Do you know what that means to somebody's ego? I hate to say it, when somebody refers it. That's better than any kind of advertising. That's word of mouth.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's personal touch to take time to thank a referee.
Yeah. Well, and we just so much appreciate it. It baffles me sometimes the number of referrals we get from our current clients. And if you're listening out there, if you're a current client, again, thank you so much for your trust and confidence that you would refer your friends and coworkers to Tony Walker Financial. We really do appreciate it. And of course, Aaron, you've been with me a long time. The client appreciation events. What do you really sense when our clients come to some of these events, especially if it's their first time? What do you think goes through their mind coming to these things?
Well, one thing I've noticed is that they just all have a good time. It's, and I mean, yeah, there may be a client who has a question or two about maybe one of their accounts or whatever, but it's not like. I mean, it's not like a 6-hour workshop where people are just constant. I mean, we're playing golf, we're having dinners. I mean, we're just having a good time.
And I think our Sabre clients enjoy that. I mean, it doesn't always have to be about business, folks. And when we have a client appreciation event, we've got 4 scheduled for this year. We want them. It's about them. I think that's what you're saying, Aaron. It's not about us. It's about them, and it's a small token of our appreciation for them placing their trust with their money with Tony Walker Financial. So when I come back, we've got another interesting Tony in the trenches. This deals with Social Security and when to take Social Security and the concerns many people have that the government is going to have to make some major changes to the Social Security system before it runs out of money. Good stuff coming your way. I'm Tony Walker along with Aaron Orander. You're listening to the Worry-Free Retirement, and we will be right back.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a 401k, IRA, 403b, TSP, or lump sum pension that you'd like to move to safer territory? Did you know that all the money you see on your 401k statement isn't really yours? Depending on your overall taxable income, the government essentially has a lien on your 401k that can tax as much as 40% of your money when you go to take it out. And with current tax rates set to expire in 2025, and considering the fact that our nation's debt is spiraling out of control, do you really think taxes will go down after 2025 or go up? Here's my advice. Don't sit around waiting to see what Uncle Sam will do to your taxes in 2025. If you have more than $250,000 in retirement assets, contact us now by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or give us a call at 877-499-9255.
Hello, my name is Mandy Houchins, and I'm in charge of all of the annuity distributions here for our clients at Tony Walker Financial. While it's true that annuities do come with surrender periods, there are ways to access funds from your annuity each year. You can take what's called a penalty-free withdrawal. It is normally equal to 10% of the contract value each year without any penalty. If you're interested in learning more about penalty-free withdrawals, please give me a call. Mandy Houchins.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Worry-Free Retirement. And our next TNT comes to us from Richard in Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. Tony, I just turned 62 last week and wondering, with all of the uncertainty over the future of Social Security, should I take it now or wait?
Well, Richard, this is the age-old question that nobody can really verify, because to determine when to take Social Security depends on the following. Let me kind of go through these. This is really important. Number one, are you married or single? Now, why is that important? Well, if someone comes to me, let's say at age 62, like Richard, and let's assume he's single, there's a good chance I'm going to suggest they go ahead and start Social Security as soon as possible. Why? Because if he's single and he passes away waiting for Social Security, that Social Security benefit he would have had dies with him. So to me, sometimes we might delay it, but especially if somebody's single, then I'm probably going to suggest they go on and take it. Obviously, if you're married, the factors change a lot. We have to look at income. We have to look whether the spouse worked and qualified for Social Security. Are they going to draw half of yours? Et cetera, et cetera. So it's a different ballgame if you're married as to when to take it. Number two, the question of how long you might live. And while nobody knows for sure how long they might live, to understand one's life expectancy, listen closely, by taking a look at other family members and how long they lived, like your mom and dad, et cetera, and then even looking at your own health. I mean, let's face it, if you've had cancer and you've had issues and you're 62 years of age, you may want to go ahead and start taking Social Security. Just depends. But life expectancy is a huge issue as to when you're going to begin those benefits. Number three, this is a biggie. I had someone the other day, they've got well over $1 million in what we call pre-tax or tax-infested IRAs. It's actually a 401k. They're thinking about moving over to us. They're 64 years of age. and they're wondering should they take Social Security. They are married, good health. In that case, to deal with a tax tumor, we're probably going to tell them to delay Social Security, start chipping away at that tax tumor within that tax-infested 401k, let the Social Security grow, because it's going to grow at 8% a year while it's in deferral, plus, under current laws, the taxes on the Social Security are going to be less. So we'd rather have more money from Social Security with less taxes. So in that case, if that's you, if you've got a lot of money in an IRA or 401k, we may end up delaying the Social Security and intentionally taking more of your tax-infested money out of that thing now versus later. Number 4, what about the trust fund? Well, the Social Security Trust Fund, and Aaron, we've talked about this, is scheduled to run out of money. See if you feel warm and fuzzies about the government here. In 2033. That's 9 years away.
Anybody that listens to this show regularly, folks, you know how I feel. It's not going to be available by the time I'm ready to dip my hand in it, so whatever. That's how I feel.
So obviously, the government's going to have to do something. In fact, there's an article, this is apparently Republicans, as we record this show in March of 2024, who are looking at several things, raising the age, creating different steps that can come in there and figure out how to maybe impose penalties on those who make a lot of money who draw Social Security. And I'm not trying to get political. I'm not taking sides here. But what's so funny about this, Aaron, let's look at the facts. It's going to run out of money in 2033. We're going to have to do something about it, right? I mean, that's the trust fund. Okay. So, but now apparently one particular side is trying to do something about it, but the other side now is saying, don't you dare touch Social Security. It's like...
There are plenty of other options. For example, sell the zoo animals.
Well, if they don't do anything, that's fine, but we're going to have a problem with Social Security. So, folks, I know it's a hot potato political item, but when you're watching the news and listening to the various medias and everything, and people are saying they're making it political by cutting into Social Security, here are the facts, folks. I've done finances a long time. If there's not enough money coming in the front door, we've talked about this, which there is not. There is not enough money going into the Social Security system. That's why the trust fund is saying it's going to go broke. But there's too much money going out the back door, which is the case right now. Eventually, something's going to fall apart. So all that the current administration is talking about on the Republican side is we got to do something about it. Obviously, nobody likes to think about that, but I would have to say this. I don't care whether it's Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter to me. Something is going to have to be done about this system, and it will happen. And down the road, who knows, maybe before 2033. But here's the point with you. If you're sitting there right now, if you're concerned about what the government, if you're like Richard, if you're concerned about what the government might do with Social Security, I would go with your gut on this. There really is no right answers on this. If you're concerned, let's say you're 62, that this thing's not going to be around in 9 or 10 years, or it's going to look totally different, that's where you need to meet with somebody like us at Tony Walker Financial. Let us look at the entire situation. That would include your 401ks, your IRAs, your current tax status, your health, whether you're single, married, your personal concerns and goals and objectives in retirement. Let us put together what we call a free retirement game plan that includes all of those aspects of your planning. And then hopefully we can help you figure out when to take Social Security. And that's very easy to do. To start working with Tony Walker Financial and to find out more about us, we've made this really easy. And best of all, it's absolutely free. We call it the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. And here's how easy it is to get started. What you're going to do is you're going to call us at 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-WALK. Or you can log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and there's a little red box on that homepage. It's called Setting Up Your Free Phone Call with Tony. Now, when you click on that button and when you call, we're going to set up a time for you and I to speak in person by phone about your situation. And then after we speak by phone, if it merits, if I feel like, yes, we can be of help to you, Then we're going to meet in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So do it right now. If you don't have a game plan, if you feel like basically you're looking for somebody out there that can provide that personal touch you need for retirement, if you're retired, retiring soon, maybe you've even come into a large sum of money through an inheritance or sale of property, but you're just looking for somebody that can take care of you, not just when you retire, but all the way through retirement, give us an opportunity to talk. Again, just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or give us a call at 877-499-WALK. Well, that's all the time we have, but remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free and make it a good one.